Well, this is time for another bonkers story for you, and it involves, well, yeah, your money, actually. So even though we have patients stuck on waiting lists, sometimes in hospital corridors as well, ambulances queuing up for hours, doctors striking for a massive pay rise, some NHS trusts have somehow found nearly £2 million to splash on, quote, woke staff events. So we've got diversity days, we've got inclusive coffee mornings, we've got, well, I mean, loads of other stuff as well, all while a system is on its knees. Well, I'm very pleased now to be joined by the investigations campaign manager at the Taxpayers Alliance. It's Joanna Marchong. So there we go. Thank you very much for joining us. What's going on then? What's this mad stuff?
Yes, thanks for having me on. I think the best place to start is that in a lot of these public sectors, in these organisations, you are now made to have, and it's normal to have, staff networks. And that is very much, you have them for any kind of protected group. BAME is in all of them, kind of like interfaith, you can have branches off. Some of these trusts, like the worst offenders, had 11 different groups that staff could join, and they will basically be able to have meetings every week to get together like minds. Do you know what I mean? You talk about, you know, your experiences and being a woman, for example. You know, you have loads to go on, I'm sure. So you have the meetings every week or every month, and then you have events that they'll put on. And essentially, you're talking about staff time being wasted, especially in these key areas in the NHS. And you have the time being taken off for events that could last 2 hours, could last half a day. You're talking about full days sometimes.
So is some of this, sorry to interrupt, but so is some of this taking place during work hours? So it's like, right, if I just stood up now, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I've got to go to my, I don't know, straight white man's group or something. Probably wouldn't have that much traction, but is that kind of thing? I'd just disappear, I'd be able to say, right, I'm off.
So a lot of these events, so when I sent the Freedom of Information requests to all of the NHS trusts, I'm asking specifically date, time. They're all during working time. A lot of them, maybe, NHS trusts will come back and say, well, actually, it didn't cost anything for these people to come together, they brought their own food, but it's the time they're taking. So we have summer picnics being held in some of these areas, and you have it starting from 1 p.m, finishing at the end of the day, lasts the whole day. You have guest speakers coming in for 2 hours at a time, and this is all the time. On top of the meetings where they'll drag it on for ages. Never will it be during lunchtime hours. And obviously, I don't have to tell you that waiting lists are still very long. You have frontline care kind of going to the wayside. You have doctors striking, nurses thinking about striking, all the above. The list could go on. And yet we have staff that want pay rises now saying, well, you know, I deserve a picnic for half a day. I deserve to celebrate International Pronouns Day.
Yeah, I mean, did we understand quite what that is either? I mean, no. Right.
Descriptions are very, very minimal. I will say. You don't know what's happening, but you know they're celebrating and they're having fun and they're having potlucks, and we're embracing staff, communities, and, you know, being able to understand who you're working with. And that has to happen every week, every month, and you have to have events.
And what was one of them called something like getting to know your afro hair or something? What was that?
And that's not, I know that made the headline on the Daily Mail, but every NHS trust, pretty much, I mean, you might have one or two that don't do it, but every NHS trust will now have a BAME group, will have their own kind of, you know, interfaith, celebrating of cultures. You need to be recognised. You need to understand that some people's hair is curly and some people's hair is straight, but we all need to find people like-minded. And
so why do you think they do it? Because, you know, this is very much, I would say, quite an aggressively private sector company where there are huge pressures on costs and staff efficiency and all of that. Otherwise, you know, well, we all go pop, really. And I know a lot of people run businesses like that. So there'll be a lot of small business owners watching this show now who are hand to mouth, who are absolutely operating right at their limits. And, you know, if someone working for them takes a sick day, that causes them a massive problem. That means they don't go home that night, maybe, to their wife or their husband and children or whatever. They have to work the extra hours themselves because that's the margins that they're working in. But you've got an NHS here with a huge, you know, which you keep being told is underfunded, and they can do all of this stuff. I don't think the taxpayer will feel particularly happy about that.
Well, you're speaking to a wider problem where the NHS is seeing the most money it's ever had being pumped into it. Productivity is stagnant. You're seeing the waiting lists, they might be coming down slightly due to being worse, streeting being involved, but they're still quite long. You're still waiting. It's far from perfect. But again, they're putting kind of staff wellness, well-being. They're trying to appease everybody, and who they're forgetting is basically taxpayers. We're
And
the ones picking up the bills, and patients. And as we said before, it's £1.8 million being spent. You're talking about a broader issue where this isn't even the only thing. Seen today by the TPA, we put out that, not only we have this talking about staff needs, you also have trade union representatives. You have over 200 trade union representatives employed by the NHS spending 100% of their time on trade union duties.
What?
So, yeah. And it's absolutely ridiculous. You have
And they're out on strike. But this is the point. We're literally paying people to get NHS staff out on strike.
Yeah.
OK, good. Right, well, on that note, thank you very much. And, it's just bonkers. Just when you think it couldn't get any more mad, it kind of... So, Joanna, thank you so much, and well done for everyone at the Taxpayers Lives for coming up with this research as well. You know, it is always great when you guys land something like Most Wasteful Council or whatever. It's always a great read. So thank you so much.